to more breaking news coming in. Villagers in Malda resist against Bangladeshis. Indians stand united at the border and block Bangladeshis. Several pictures that have emerged from the border. This as border fencing that the BSF is pushing in full force. But we know the kind of skirmishes that have happened and how locals on the other side have tried to resist it. But Indians on the border, very clear that there should be no infiltration. Look at those pictures coming in from Malda, where villagers are trying to resist any sort of infiltration from Bangladeshis. Let me cut across to Kishile, joining us with further details on these pictures. Over to you, Kishile.
Well, exactly. These are not just infiltration attempts, but these are more serious attempts of causing disruption in the border by Bangladeshi radicals. Well, we are getting news according to sources. From the side of Bangladesh border, there has been an attempt of infiltration, as well as they tried to hurl crude bombs towards Indian borders. The Bangladeshi radicals are trying to make every attempt in order to create an situation of chaos at the borders, and that has been at one hand handled by the BSF. The BSF also fired a few tear gas shells. That is what we are getting to know. On the other hand, the local Indian villagers, all of them unitedly stood together to drive these miscreants and radical Islamists back into Bangladesh. So there has been attempts of infiltration. The local villagers, Indian villagers, are accusing. The local Indian villagers are also accusing that their crops were destroyed by Bangladeshi infiltrators who tried to come inside, barge inside the border, which is not fenced in this particular region. 1,600 meters of non-fenced border area. So there are the slogans. So these are the slogans, locals standing united.
Zero line topiye
So these are radicals, these are terrorists who tried to cross the border, come to Indian side and create a situation of chaos and disorder, but they were completely dispelled by the Indian side. Indian citizens stood together to dispel them, to drive them back. On the other hand, BSF also was present, handling the situation in a very calm and rigid manner. The BSF also fired a few tear gas shells. It is also known from sources that there were a few crude bombs that were hurled from the side of Bangladesh. Radical Islamist forces of Muhammad Yunus, trying to create a chaos at Indian border, which has been successfully dispelled by the BSF and the local villagers side by side. Suesha.
Oh yes, absolutely. And you know, Kishale, the kind of pictures that have been coming over and over again just dispel that statement that was made by Mamta Banerjee, where she not just cast aspersions against the BSF, but most importantly, how the intent of every Indian is very clear as far as the border situation is concerned. But politicians who want to gain brownie points by pushing a certain narrative.
Well, exactly. We can hear these slogans. We can hear Bharat Mata Ki Jai. We can hear Jai Shri Ram. We can hear Vande Mataram slogans. And TMC leaders have been, in fact, Firad Hakim himself was accusing that in this same place of Shukdepur, there was an attempt from Indian side as well in order to incite violence. That is what he's saying. So completely anti-national stance taken by TMC. Mamta Banerjee has accused BSF several times of creating nonsense in the border. But now we see clearly on these images, on these visuals, it's very clear that common Indian citizens, Indian people, Indian nationals are with the BSF, and together, hand in hand with the BSF, they are also trying to dispel any kind of chaotic situation at the border. All these radicals were in fact stopped from entering the Indian side. On the other hand, they were driven back to Bangladeshi side very successfully by the local villagers, and BSF also intervened later to control the situation and fired a few tear gas shells. These are visuals which are a proof of the fact that these Bangladeshi radicals have no idea about the power of an united united India, where all the Indian citizens will stand together with our security forces in order to protect our national interest and sovereignty. So these radicals had to flee back to Bangladesh. They fled back, and the local villagers completely stood to their ground in that whole area, securing the border area.
Right.
On the other hand, BSF was of course there handling the situation.
Major General Shashi Asthana quickly makes his point.
As far as the Bangladeshis are concerned, from the time Yunus government and the interim government has taken charge, the situation is that more and more Bangladeshis want to cross over and come to India. The situation there is dire. The interim government can pose whatever image they want to pose, but then the fact is people are desperate and they want to cross. It is the professionalism of our forces and also our people that they do not want them to cross, and at the same time we have to protect our sovereignty and our territorial integrity. At the same time, also control the situation in a manner that unnecessarily the civilians are neither killed nor there is necessary showdown, which was I can visualize that the Bangladeshi forces at this point of time are trying to provoke India. If you compare the same incident with what happened in the fencing case, when the fencing was being made about a couple of days back, there was a showdown there as well. Because that fencing was agreed upon earlier by the previous government, and not only by the government but by the border agencies of both sides, that is between BSF and Bangladesh border guard. So therefore, and having agreed, now they were objecting to it. So obviously there is a plot which indicates that this government which is there in Bangladesh, they want to provoke India for some reason or the other, and they are creating narratives again and again to do so. Now, at the same time, their people are desperate and they want to cross over. So this is a situation which I am sure our government is handling with maturity. At the same time, our security forces on the borders are handling with maturity, because in all cases, we have now resorted to using so that the casualties are not there. At the same time, we are able to manage our borders and ensure that no unauthorized infiltrators get into India. So I think, and also, as you rightly mentioned in your commentary, the people are also with us, and people are also trying and helping out the security agencies, especially and the BSF, to fulfill their task. So I think overall, India is a matured country, and we have very strong professional forces who will be able to manage that. And despite all the efforts of Bangladesh, I think even our diplomacy has not got provoked so far. We have not unnecessarily given awkward statements against Bangladesh, because we still feel that there is time. Bangladesh is a neighbor. They will, once they have run into a lot of economic process and other things, they will realize the potential and the dependence on India, and perhaps they will see sense in having good relations with India.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you. And the last point that you made, I want to take that to Major General K.K. Sinha. Fact is that India has raised this issue with the Yunus government. Your thoughts on what the intention of the Yunus government is?
Jai Hind and good afternoon. You see, the interim government of Mohammed Yunus is absolutely anti-India. And he is cozying up with Pakistan. He is cozying up with the forces which is not amicable to India. India has to act tough. You know, I don't believe it. And India has already yesterday, if you know, that India has declared it, that the fencing work, which is, you know, first we have to understand that the total area, it is 4,096 kilometer border with 5 states. The West Bengal is the, you know, is the maximum about 217 kilometers. Assam has got 262 kilometers. Meghalaya 443 kilometers. Tripura 318 kilometers, and Mizoram 443 kilometers. It is the 5th largest border of the world and India's biggest border. We have got number of neighbors. Even it is more than Pakistan what we are having in this border. So it is not that, India has to act, something. I feel it, and India yesterday has said its resolve. They have called the, Bangladeshi ambassador and told him that India is committed for a crime-free border. And it was, there was an agreement which was signed between India and Sheikh Hasina's government that more than 3,700 kilometers it will be fenced. Now the problem is coming is the political. The TMC is blaming that, own BSF. There is a BSF, there is a border, guard of Bangladesh. There are clashes from 7th January at 7 places. We have to be absolutely firm on ground. This is my firm belief. And we can't make it in Tripura. If you know, there is a border area, border post, which has about 15 odd exchanges. Border, BSF was sent earlier, not I'm talking now. It is not that easy. And we have to be firm, and India is absolutely firm. We can't allow our underbelly to go in the way they, whether it is the government of interim government over there, deep state playing over there, China is playing over there. We can't sit tight and say that, okay, the time will pass and we will have a amicable situation. I'm absolutely with the government. The government has taken a very, very tough stand. And that's why, if you see, it is also happening in the Myanmar area of that Arkan army. They have a 210 kilometers border over there. Bangladesh is under pressure, and they have to be under pressure. Maritime borders also we have to choke.
Right.
They can't do it. India is taking economically at present because the cotton is not going from India. We are not allowing anyone. Visa is there. We are not allowing any visa to be there, and people can't cross over. And TMC can't make a politics out of it. They have got the biggest area. So the time is very, very, and India, I think, is a very, very alive, very mature government there. And because it might be looking like that India is not doing, we are doing a lot of things. Bangladesh has to mend its way. And Mohammed Yunus has to understand. And if the people are listening, we have to be firm. 1.4 billion people of India has to understand this. It's just not a joke. Because India has been, we say, we are brothers and all. You just can't go this area, they can't be. They are trying to take certain areas in this area. We have given them, but now no more. Human trafficking, drug trafficking, your illegal trafficking of, cattle takes place. The barbed wire, which with the electronic surveillances, it is much, and Bangladesh say anything, we have to force it through by force, and India is doing on ground.